Hello, good morning. So, I've had a bit of an upgrade on how I'm going to be presenting this stuff today, which I'm sure will result in technical problems and technical issues. So if it does, please forgive me. I'm trying to deliver this in a way that will hopefully bring some more value and some more, depth to the information in these videos. So, today, the topic is something that we are asked all the time, and it's relating to, and I know people always say that, but we genuinely are asked a lot about, you guys are so interested in tracking stuff. So body weight, strength, habits, sleep, all these things, we encourage our clients to track as much data as they can. And the response to that is always, well, should I be measuring my body fat percentage? And the answer to that is not normally the same as for everything else. And people usually expect us to say yes. Mainly because if you followed us for a while, you may have seen that for a long time I tracked my body fat percentage. So this was something that for years I was tracking, and I paid a lot of money and ran a lot of sort of personal experiments with it to see whether it held any value or not. So what I'm sharing with you today is not only some of the science, some of what the evidence says, but also based on my personal experience with it. Because ultimately, going down this route of saying, like, I'm going to track my body fat percentage, I'm going to keep a close eye on that, is pretty damn expensive. And if you don't know exactly why you're doing it or what you're doing it for, how to do it, it's a total waste of time and money. So here we go. Technology thing number one, methods. So how could you go about tracking your body fat percentage if you wanted to? Well, as you can see, God, it's reversed. That's weird. Over here, there's 5 kind of the most common methods, and I'm sure there are other ways. I'm sure you could kind of like pinch yourself and grab yourself all over and have a guess. But these are the 5 that are sort of the most commonly used. So skin folds is number 1, and that's the one that I've done the most and paid the most for. There's loads of different methods within the skin fold like group. There's different calculations. There's some super expensive ones, like if you were to go for what's it called, biosignature, the Poliquin method. It's the second time in like 3 days that I've lost my train of thought, which is weird. But anyway. If you watched the video on veganism yesterday, it's apparently because I eat too much meat, which is interesting. But so yeah, skin folds is number 1. There's all the way at the top, which is biosignature, and you often get it done by a professional, someone who's been trained in it. And there are different calculations that those millimeter skin folds are then put into to spit out we think, given all this information, you are probably this body fat percentage. Number 2 is Dexa Scan, which basically is an X-ray. So most expensive, hardest to get your hands on, probably have to go into a hospital or some kind of sports testing facility to get your hands on something like that. And really, I think for most people watching this, and for most people in the fitness industry, to be honest, it's not attainable to do that method consistently. And I'm going to get onto the consistency aspect of this in a second. Next one, number 3, is bioelectrical impedance. So that is basically, you'll have seen these in your gym where you have to pay £1 and you stand on the scales and you hold the things and someone goes like, you are fat. And that sort of thing. They are probably one of the worst of this selection, or they are the worst of this selection. They send basically an electrical impulse around your body, and the speed of the rate that returns we can draw a conclusion of the density of the tissue. So muscle mass and fat-free mass and fat mass respond differently in terms of how fast the signal returns, and from that we can draw a sort of a guesstimate on what your body fat percentage may be given your total body mass, body weight. Hydrostatic weighing is essentially you submerge yourself in water. Sounds pretty frightening, right? Again, pretty hard to get your hands on that unless you happen to have one at home, which I don't think I've ever met anybody who does. You essentially submerge yourself in water, and then because we know the space that you're taking up in the water, we can make an estimation again on your body fat mass and then calculate your body fat percentage. Bod pod is basically air displacement. So you sit in what looks like an egg out of one of the Alien films, and it estimates okay, given the mass you're taking up, we probably think that you are this body fat percentage. So as you can see, I keep wanting to point over there. As you can see, the red one, Dexa Scan, I've highlighted because I think it's probably the most accurate. So if you are going to go down this route of I definitely, even in spite of what Jonny said today, I'm definitely wanting to go down the route of measuring my body fat percentage, that's probably the one to pick if you're going to pick one. And as I say, the issue with it really is it's incredibly expensive and difficult to get your hands on. So that's what we're looking at. Those are the methods, and also I think just to discuss, what is a body fat percentage? Well, it's basically the amount of your body weight or the amount of the mass that you take up that is fat mass as opposed to fat-free mass. Why would we care about that? Well, most people in the fitness industry are trying to lose fat so that they can appear more lean, so that they can look better and appear more aesthetic, and obviously also there are health consequences to carrying excess body fat. So that's why we might want to try and get a handle on what is that number and how can I influence it. So what do we like about, and this is the second potential thing that might go wrong, it's worked. So what do we like at Propane Fitness about body fat percentage calculations? Well, as listed here in the pros, in the pros, the four kind of things that we like about it are that, firstly, I think it's a move in the right direction. It's a move towards a data-driven approach as opposed to relying on emotions or feelings or kind of guesswork. So while there is, and I'll cover this in a second, while there is a lot of inaccuracy within each of those methods, it's at least a step in the right direction of saying, well, okay, so I understand that in order to change something or manage something, I should probably be measuring it. So we're looking towards that side of it, and that removes the emotion, the bias, I feel a bit fat today, is removed because we have a number we can rely on, and that allows us to make some decisions, some better decisions. I think if you're going to do this, then the most important thing, and the thing that makes it into what is maybe a positive thing to do, is consistency within a method, so keep the same method, and also consistency of timing and environment and all those sorts of things. In the same way that you wouldn't step on the scale right after you've eaten a meal and compare that to stepping on the scale first thing in the morning and then look at those numbers and try and compare them. You don't want to have these measurements being taken at completely different times of the day in completely different situations. And each of the different methods have different sort of requirements for ensuring consistency. Obviously, something like, for example, the bioelectrical impedance tends to be affected by hydration. A lot of the other, so the skin fold caliper measurements, again, will be affected by hydration, and the actual size of the skin fold can be influenced by subcutaneous anything. So those things are to consider. If you're looking to pick a method, look at the pros and the cons of each method and try and minimize the downside of the measurement error. So the advantages of those, and to be honest, there's not many, in my opinion. We aren't a fan of body fat measurement percentages, really, because there's too much inaccuracy, and that's to move on to the cons of this. So as I say, there's an error rate which is super, super high. So you may have seen this study by Wells and Futrell. I think that's how you pronounce their names. They basically looked at the pros and cons of each of these methods and some others. And what they essentially concluded was, across all these things, there are some benefits. Like, each of them has its own sort of potential benefit. Like Dexa, for example, is great at saying for a change in weight, how much of it might be fat mass and how much of it might be muscle gain or muscle retention. So it is a good way of guessing the best guess of body composition. But the downsides really are the error rate. So I use this example all the time. Like, I went for a biosignature test. Like, I used to do them 6 weeks apart just to kind of, again, go with the consistency. Very expensive. And I had a testing period of 6 weeks, so I went and got my biosignature done. 6 weeks went by. I ate all the broccoli extract and stuff that they tell you to do because I'm fat in my hamstrings because of a hormone. But got to 6 weeks later, and they said, or I was told that I'd lost up to 2 kilos of muscle mass. And in that time, I'd also gained strength across some indicator lifts that I was tracking. And you look at it and you're like, I've lost muscle mass. Like, I've lost 2 kilos of muscle mass. That's the sort of result you'd expect from someone who is seriously, seriously ill. And it's kind of like, if I'm losing muscle tissue at that rate, it's maybe I should go get some medical help. And so it leads to poor decisions. Like, if I'd looked at that and I believed it, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm losing muscle mass. Maybe I need to stop dieting. Maybe I need to up my calories. Maybe I need to, do all kinds of extreme things. And the reality is, like, how was I able to gain strength while losing muscle mass? Like, pretty damn difficult. So I'm not saying that obviously that's N=1, that's my experience, but you see consistencies across other people. We've had clients measure them. We've seen sort of weird relationships where, they look leaner and they perform better, but they've gained fat. You're like, well, surely not. So there's a high error rate. There's lots of error in each of those methods, with Dexa being the most accurate. Each are very expensive. Even if you go skin fold, and even if you do it yourself, you've got to buy the skin fold caliper. And it's expensive not just financially, but in terms of time and commitment. Like, you need to set time aside to try and get an honest evaluation of skin fold to different points and then calculate that. And that can be a proper ball ache unless you're really motivated to do this. It's not relevant. And the reason it isn't relevant is, and this is the question I always pose to clients when they say, should I be measuring my body fat percentage? If I told you today, so that you come to me with a goal, let's say, and you want to get to 5% body fat. And if I said to you, okay, today you're 5% body fat, we've measured you, you're 5% body fat. Do you still want to go on a diet? Yes or no? Most people are like, oh, well, yeah, but I don't look as lean as I'd like to. And that's the key point, is that if you really cared about body fat percentage, then it wouldn't actually matter what you look like. And for most people, that's not relevant. For most people, that's not accurate, sorry. Most people have an idea of what a body fat percentage looks like and then use that body fat percentage as a goal because it's, as I say, it's a movement in the right direction. It's a movement away from, oh, well, I just want abs. It's a number. It's quantified. However, there's so many ways in which that number can tell you something different. So the point is, we want to get you to the point where you look the way that you want to look, perform the way you want to perform, feel the way you want to feel. And the body fat percentage isn't necessarily the best way to measure that. I'm going to cover this one. I'm going to cover a better way to do it in a second. So if we rely on them completely, it leads to poor decision making. It leads to maybe ending the diet too early. It leads to maybe cutting calories too fast. And if you want more information, God damn it, if you want more information on it, this side of the screen, that study is a good one to look at. If you just Google those names and look on PubMed, you'll see more information on it. So what do we do instead? Well, the Propane method is simply this. So as I say, we want to get to the point for everybody where they are looking how they want to look, feeling how they want to feel, performing how they want to perform. That's what matters. So then we need to have a way of measuring that by proxy. Like, I can't just say, hey, do you feel how you want to feel yet? And they're like, I'm not sure. Do you look how you want to look yet? I don't know. Like, maybe not today. I looked better yesterday. And perform how you want to perform is a bit easier. But those other two are really kind of key goals, and they're really hard to measure and get a handle on. So we track this stuff. So number one up here is strength gain across a range of indicator lifts usually. So that might be, if you're a power lifter enthusiast, it could be obviously squat, bench, deadlift. It could be stuff as simple as, chin up, barbell row, overhead press. Like, it can be anything. It might even be running performance, or if if it's specific to something you're training for. The point is that whatever you're trying to improve or whatever you're trying to maintain, whether that's performance in a running domain or an athletic domain or sports domain, or whether it's just muscle mass and strength gain domain, we want to be tracking that thing with a number that we can see every week, that we can see every month, that we can track over time. So in this example, we have, like, let's say, I don't know, a bench press, and we start off with around 100 kilos at the top, and it's trending upwards over here, or it's staying roughly stable. And if we're saying that, like as I said in my biosignature example, can someone really be maintaining or gaining strength while losing muscle mass? Probably not. Pretty damn difficult to do. And obviously there are different things that influence strength gain. But we can safely say that over 10 weeks of this example, if our bench press has gone, like as you can see, it's stayed roughly stable, gone up a little bit at the end, then we can actually say pretty reliably, like, I'm probably maintaining my muscle mass at very least. And then down here we have scale measurement, which we track over time, we track every day, and we track on an average basis to smooth out any of the massive ups and downs. But as we can see, it's trending downwards. We're decreasing our scale weight over time. And so when we're seeing this relationship, in other words, they're crossing over, so scale weight is going down and strength is increasing or maintaining, the only possible scenario for that is that you are losing weight from fat mass. Your scale weight is decreasing because you are losing the tissue that you're trying to influence. In other words, your body fat percentage is improving. And so we're getting at the same thing, we're still measuring the same thing, but in a way that is actually relevant to the person's goal. So in other words, if they still look how they want to look, perform how they want to perform, feel how they want to feel, it doesn't really matter what the skin fold measurement says, because these things tell us that anyway. And they tell us it without all this error and all these measurement issues, and without the huge expense. Like, I bet most of you watching this video have a scale at home. I bet most of you watching this video probably already do some kind of strength training or some kind of performance work, some kind of fitness work that you can measure with a number. So just track those things. And if that's happening, if that relationship's happening, your body fat percentage is improving, I guarantee. So hopefully that's a way of kind of getting the Propane method to, like, what do I do about body fat percentage? Well, that's what you do. Don't worry about all the expensive stuff. Don't worry about all the things that could actually create more stress and create more of an issue. Worry about the things that can be easily controlled, easily measured, and we remove a lot of the problems and the expense and the inconvenience that those things cause. All right, if you like this message, if you like this video, you want more stuff like this with fancy graphs and diagrams and me pointing in the wrong direction, then please give me a like, comment and share below, and we'll do more of this stuff. We'll speak soon.
Hey, we're Yusef and Jonny from Propane Fitness, and I just want to take the time to show you something that people don't often know about, which is the huge repository, the members area of Fat Loss Mastery and Strength Mastery. So these are our mastery programs, and it contains all of our best information on diet and training, giving you everything that you need to just accelerate your progress and take you out of fumbling around in the dark. So let's just take a look through the members area itself.
So these are both available online using the link below what we're talking about for only $19.97 a month. And we obviously think that's a massive steal, and I'll explain why just quickly by showing you inside. So as you can see, each of these red boxes on the left hand side, that represents a module in most cases. Sometimes it represents a series of frequently asked questions that we get asked from guys like yourself who come into this program and have a question about something specific. It might be, oh well, I want to know more about when I adjust my macros and calories to improve my fat loss or prevent any plateaus. It might be, well, what are the pros and cons of lifting with a belt and how tight should I have it? So they're really comprehensive. We covered so much in there, and they're being added to every single week. But what does a module look like? Well, so each one isn't just 10 seconds of content. Like, these are huge bodies of information that we piece together that you get to work through on a weekly basis. So each week, one of us will be introducing the module. So it's like a virtual coaching experience. We talk you through the details of what we'll be discussing that week. So as you can see here, we have a 35-minute video for you to go through and digest in your own time, MP3 versions if you need to listen to it on the go, and then guides on your training program. We give you downloads, and there's extra stuff, bonuses, challenges, tasks, things to complete at the end of every week. Our goal with this product and our goal with the members areas is to automate this stuff for you. So you maybe feel like you want to learn more about alcohol or caring for your mind or caring for your body, your tissue, your mobility. We've taken these pieces and we've broken out the big rocks, the big themes in them, and made this into an actionable, simple, stepwise framework. So it's just all taken care of for you. In addition to that, we give you a new training program every 4 weeks or every single month. And so you no longer have this nagging feeling of like, well, what am I going to do with my training next time?
So there's a huge number of bonuses to get into as well. As Jonny said, we unpack some of the big topics that you guys have asked us to do, things like mindset, sleep, habit development, and there's over 100 FAQs across training, supplements, diet, injury prevention, and all of that stuff, including every single digital product that we've ever made. So you'll get instant access to any of the ebooks relating to fat loss or muscle gain, big guides on hypertrophy, cheat sheets, PDF downloads, and we'll keep you accountable with that. You'll have access to a Facebook group where you can get in touch with other members and keep each other accountable with your progress.
And we're adding to this every single week at the moment. So as you can see here down the left, as we move into the latter modules, and these are drip fed on a weekly basis, we move into some more specific things. Like recently, Yusef did a drop-in clinic on specifically back pain, the mind-muscle connection, and weight stalling. And even just in that module, which isn't necessarily following a presentation style framework, you can ask questions that get fed into these. And even in that style of framework and discussion, there's tons to learn, tons to unpack from it. So we're really quite selective over what we upload into this. And it is basically a curriculum, a course, and a way to automate your diet, your training, your nutrition. We like to think that basically you'll never need to go anywhere else for your learning, for your training, for your nutrition management ever again.
You can go into as much detail as you want to as well. We give you the minimum to get started, and then if you want to dive in further, there's always the extra resource for that too.
So that's it. That's a look inside Fat Loss Mastery. If you would like to join one of these mastery programs, if your goal is fat loss, then Fat Loss Mastery is the choice for you. If your goal is strength mastery, that's the choice for you. We will actually give you access to both, but it's about selecting which one that you want to go for first. $19.97 a month or a single payment of $197 for lifetime access. So if you want our opinion, our take on these topics, if you like what we talk about, you like our content, and you want to learn about any of these things, this is the most affordable, quickest and easiest way to start, and you get access to this for you to use as much or as little as you want. So if you want to get started, click the link below or go to propanefitness.com/mastery, follow the details, and we'll see you on the other side.